All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, where BW is chatting it up over there. So I think that things are fine. Did a lot of gardening this morning. Weeded out 5 of the beds, actually. Went through them with the little, the little hoe thing, and got out a bunch of witchgrass. So I'm hoping that controls the situation. I fucking hate witchgrass. I am happy, though, because some more chamomile and nicotiana are coming up. So I'll be transplanting those around, and it looks like the nicotiana lineage shall rise again. I'm slightly surprised because last year I don't think there were any seeds to it, so they must have been dormant over winter twice or something like that. So we'll get right into the news. We've got the Slovakian prime minister. He is expected to survive. We do have updates about that. Fico over in Slovakia. Robert Fico shot the other day several times by an assailant, a 71-year-old poet with unknown political motivations, but obviously political ones. And so he is expected to survive. He did have a hemorrhage the other day during surgery, but they stabilized him. He's still in serious condition, but he has stabilized. They're expecting that he will indeed survive. So no Franz Ferdinand moment. We're in a pivotal moment in American history. We cannot retreat, says Bernie Sanders as he excoriates his own party, claiming that they need to swing far, far to the left at a time when you're really trying to wine and dine independent voters. So we'll be talking about his stupidity more than anything else with that article. He just doesn't understand. He's in an echo chamber. He's never worked a real job. He's lived in Burlington for the last 50 years, and there's a reason for that. U.S. inflation eased last month in the first slowdown of 2024. Too bad if you look at the year-over-year comparative metric, 3.5 to 3.4 is not actually a reduction at all. Inflation is still a thing. It's sticky inflation. We've got the Dublin to New York City portal. It was shut down because one of those cam whores from OnlyFans decided to flash a bunch of people her tits. Unimpressive ones, by the way. There was a 4chan thread the other night with some of the clips and pictures of her. And it's like, okay, yeah, all right. That's real impressive. I'm sure that nobody in Dublin has ever seen boobies, but they've shut that down. Personally, I don't see the problem with it. It's like, who cares? People are just having fun. But we'll be joking about that. Mayor Eric Adams having another problem after being raided by the FBI and having his campaign manager raided right after he called out Biden on the migrant crisis, saying, well, the federal government's not offering us any support. Oh, shit, I just heard a knock on the door, and that was really coincidental. Now he's stepped in it again. On this one, it's his own fault. He was talking about migrants in New York making good lifeguards because they are excellent swimmers. An old school trope and stereotype about people, literally the term wetback, no offense, comes from this, the concept of people swimming across the Rio Grande. More often than not now, they just walk across the border. Scientists find Eurasian jays can use mental time travel like humans. This is the first time that you've got the reasonable establishment of the concept of mental time travel in a species other than humans. That is the ability to recall abstracts and stuff that wasn't really consciously noted about an event before, but can be recalled later on for some useful purpose. I would be surprised if this wasn't then found in subsequent studies in apes, orangutans, chimps, bonobos, corvids, ravens, magpies, rooks, etc., crows, and similar species. I think you're going to find it in a lot more species than you expected. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if colonial insects, which also show the ability to communicate about things in an abstract form at a distance, like ants and termites, I wouldn't be surprised if they displayed the same behavior, bees, wasps, etc. And then Maryland parents can't opt kids out of LGBTQ plus MAP IOU 123 book curriculum court rules. Yes, the Maryland Supreme Court there has decided, it's a circuit court, Circuit Court of Appeals, has upheld the concept that these schools are capable of forcing kids to partake in curriculums that may be out of lockstep with their religious views. The funny part is the coalition of parents complaining about this are Christian, Islamic, and Jewish. So you see, there's finally unity. There's a positive reason to believe there might be peace between Israel and Palestine and the Catholic Church, I suppose. It's hilarious. Tigers are my totem, $5, no comment, thank you. Mike the Wop. Hello again, Tarl. Clank. Fookers. What does Biden have up his sleeve for their bees debate? Relying upon the sympathetic moderator, Jake Tapper, more than anything else. Trump should try and negotiate the return of the hostages you mentioned in the earlier video. Yeah, unfortunately, he can't do that independently as a private citizen. It would violate the Hatch Act. The Dashing Rogue. Everyone has heard about the bird. Bird's the word, dude. BW with a slew of comments over on Rumble. Maybe I'm wrong, and I guess at this point it's too late, but I don't think it would have been weak for Trump to tell Biden that this time, no, we can debate anywhere and anytime, but I get to set some. Agreed, but beggars can't be choosers, of course. Rules, and you don't get to rig it for yourself. If your record is so good, you should be able to defend it no matter the platform or the audience size. I wish Trump would have originally said, I challenge Biden to debate on Newsmax or Twitter. No special rules to defend his cowardly behind. Joe doesn't want an audience because he knows those Gaza protesters will show up. Lol. Yeah, he's worried about that. I do agree with you on that. First news story of the day. And this is good news. The Slovakian prime minister is expected to survive. He's going to have some scars for the rest of his life, but the poet assassin failed to kill him. And Juraj Cintula, this is the assassin, would-be assassin, has published several poems, and shocked neighbors have described him and his wife as fantastic. His son was quoted as telling local media, I have no idea what father intended, what he planned, why it happened. Maybe there was some short circuit. Yeah, maybe he's just nuts. No, I think it was politically motivated. It has also emerged that in 2016, this is weird, while working as a security guard in a supermarket in Levice, where he lives, or Levice, I don't know how to pronounce it. Apologies. I'm supposedly part Slovakian myself, but I don't know the language. He was attacked by a man and left badly bruised. A TV interview with Cintula from the Times shows him with a black eye in the clip. He said of his attacker, he was drugged. He started throwing chickens from the shelves onto the ground. Then he started juggling them. I think I'm getting a phone call, actually. Yeah, I can't take that right now, dude. I'll talk to you later, dude. Cintula, who was chairman of the Duha Literary Club until he left in 2016, wrote 3 poems which were posted onto the club's Facebook page. They were called Dream of a Rebel, Diptych, and Wasps, and he is also a member of the Association of Slovak Writers. And he apparently attempted to kill the Slovakian prime minister and failed. I'm assuming that he used a low-caliber weapon, 22, maybe 380 or something like that. I can't imagine that if it was a 9 or a 45, at close range, I would think getting hit 5 times in the head and in the stomach would probably kill you. So I'm assuming this is a 22 or something like that. Maybe it was all you could afford or something. You know, poets don't get a lot of money, which is pretty funny. But he is expected to recover, the prime minister of Slovakia, which is good. And I have a feeling that there was a political motive clearly behind it. What that specific motive is up in the air still. I still see people saying, well, the dude was trained by the Spetsnaz. He's a Russian sympathizer. I see other people claiming he's a Ukrainian sympathizer. I see people claiming that he was far right, and I see people claiming he was far left. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure they'll be able to get to the bottom of it. My initial suspicion, though, was that this is an effete lefty poet and did it for Marxist reasons, mainly. So probably because, Mr. Fico does not like limitless migration, and that's probably the reason. Migration and or the Ukrainian war, which he does not fully support. He supports the concept of Israel, Gaza, and things like that. He's got views that differ from other European leaders. He's more of a friend of Viktor Orban than anyone else, actually. He's in Orban's orbit, so to speak. DD2225, hello. Last night, Nick DiPaolo and Gerald Morgan on Louder with Crowder said they believe the early debate is a litmus test to see if Biden should be removed for the left nominee. Do you agree? No. At this point, unless he were to die of a stroke on stage, they're stuck with Biden. We had the OMG media report last month where they did that sting piece where James O'Keefe dyed his hair blonde and put on the big glasses and managed to fool the gay cybersecurity director at the White House into thinking that he was interested in sucking his cock, basically, and got out of him. Hey, look, it's going to be Biden-Kamala. We would prefer it to be something else, but we can't force Biden out. And if we force Kamala out, it'll look politically incorrect. We can't do that. So we're sort of stuck. And so we have to circle the wagons. And I believe when James O'Keefe does a piece like that, I tend to take it to the bank that it's probably true. RJB, wish the NYPD would let me lifeguard all summer instead of dodging bullets and piss bottles all summer. BW, I was waiting to ambush you, Sticks. LMAO. Oh, we've got another crypto scammer. For the love of Christ. Go scam elsewhere. Oh, failed to mute. Invalid user. Can I at least delete the message? I don't know what the fuck is going on there. Maybe he got banned already. Swamp Donkey. The Slovak guy was pro-EU, pro-demographic replacement, and pro-Ukraine. I hope the Slovak president goes full Bukele. Yeah. It seems like the art poet was presumptively, probably on the left wing of politics. Mr. Warwick, you win $5 million. You only have to respond within N. That would be a more effective scam if you, actually knew how to scam. Yeah. I mean, if you want to give me $5 million, the garden will expand massively. But, just show up here with the Benji Greens in a suitcase. The Dashing Rogue. The shooter is a Eurasian sympathizer, i.e. anti-Western. Time will tell. Keep an eye out for the buzzword soup from him. Yeah, I know. Swamp Donkey. Trump accepting the debate points is stupid. I was hoping you would accept it. Debates are pointless. Yeah, exactly. They're pointless, so he has nothing to lose. Trump is not going to lose a single voter. Neither, by the way, is likely Biden to do the same. Biden will lose. He'll be declared the winner by the legacy media. We know that. It's formulaic. But Trump just wants to show up and be on stage with Biden to be able to berate him. We're in a pivotal moment in American history. We cannot retreat. This is from Bernie Sanders. Clearly, our job is not just to re-elect Biden. It's much more than that. I do a good Bernie impression. I do some impressions well, some of them not so well. But Bernie, I'm on point with. It's not difficult. You just have to have a thick Brooklyn accent overlapped with a little bit of the hippie twang, which I can do because I was raised in the Connecticut River Valley. Here are some of the things that Bernie Sanders wants the Democrats to embrace. The article is basically a link in the description, archived, of course. You can read it if you want. It's basically a screed about how I've got problems with Joe Biden, but Trump is more problematic. Joe Biden on a bad day is 1,000 times better than Trump. All this hyperbolic bullshit that Bernie typically spews. And you'll remember, he was the smash the establishment candidate in 2016 that all the leftoids rallied behind. And then he promptly dropped out when he realized, of course, I can't win. And he threw all of his weight behind Hillary Clinton. And at that point, he officially sold out, and reasonable leftists abandoned him completely. Some of them, for some reason, still back him, including a plurality of Vermonters. I'm sad to say that he will win his re-election bid unless he drops dead on stage or something like that. Barring that, he'll get 60% of the vote. He'll be returned to the Senate. My apologies for my home state of Vermont. It's no longer run by actual Vermonters, and they're going to put that crepitating socialistic fossil back in the Senate, where he'll continue to pretend to be an independent, despite being at this point a Democrat. He'll pretend to be independent of ideology, too, despite parroting 90% the same talking points, just with the free ice cream thing. Here are his proposals for the Democrats. Further, we must demand that Biden and the Democrats begin campaigning on a truly progressive agenda that addresses the needs of the working families of our country. Yes, healthcare is a human right. Yes, the billionaire class must stop paying their fair share of taxes. Yes, we must raise the minimum wage to a living wage and make it easier for workers to join unions. Yes, we must seriously address the housing crisis, which exists in almost every state in the country. Yes, we must strengthen public education in our country and make higher education available to all, regardless of income. Bottom line, we must have the guts to take on and defeat a powerful and greedy ruling class, of which most of your friends are part, Bernie, and create a government which works for all, not just for the few. Well, I mean, we could have that with a free market economy, but, you keep trying to meander us away from that. The path forward is not easy. In fact, it's impossible, but now is not the time for despair or cynicism. During this pivotal moment, we must do what Americans have always done when change is needed. We need to vote for the people with the same ideas that have been peddled for the last half century and which have consistently failed. That's basically his pitch to the American people. No, Bernie, healthcare is a human right. You have to pay for it. You do not have the right to force another person to provide that for you. The billionaire class already pays a shit ton of taxes. You focus on the income tax as opposed to the various business taxes they're subject to. The minimum wage being raised has never worked before. It will never work in the future. It's a good idea on paper, but it never actually pans out. It just raises the prices more. If you want more price inflation, that's the way to get it. The housing crisis could, again, be addressed by deregulation. It shouldn't take 5 fucking years and 10,000 pages of legalese in order to build a shit shack. And public education is fundamentally broken, and people should be homeschooling as much as possible. That's my rebuttal. So yeah, there's Bernie's big pitch to the American people. Everything's terrible, but the people that are in charge right now that made it terrible, they're not the ones responsible. It's Orange Man. So we have to defeat him and re-elect the dude that brought the economy to its knees, opened up the border, started several wars, and is fucking up literally everything that he does. That's Bernie's pitch, especially to the youth. To the youth, we need a youth revolution, says the 82-year-old man. Mikuhuntu, I don't own a Crapple phone anymore. How do I repent? By never buying a Crapple product again. Dillybod, with every day that goes by, the more I believe in Ayn Rand and objectivism. I'll take Ron Paul myself, and I don't even fully agree with him. Let's see. Swamp Donkey. I did that one. Plaguewin, about to get pork butt smoking here. Need to plant a few more things in the garden, too. Got sticks to listen to while I work. I did a shit ton of gardening this morning, and I've got more to do this afternoon. I'm clearing out all the witchgrass. I'm carefully going through, maintaining the Nicotiana, those precious Nicotiana that managed to come up, as well as some of the chamomile, I suppose. And there are a few mustard plants, actually, that made it. The garden had been fallow for 5 years. There are still some of those Indian mustard plants that are so good. You slice up a couple of those leaves and put it in as a garnish in your salad. It'll answer to the same purpose as a radish, actually. Delicious. Crash Jester, morning Sticks. My dad set this up. My brother needs help. And there is a GoFundMe link for those of you on Rumble. You can check it out for Crash Jester there. Swamp Donkey, there are multiple crypto scammers in the Rumble chat. I know. Just to be clear, there will never be a Bitcoin giveaway announced in a Rumble chat. It's not going to happen. I know that most of you already know this. The shadow ban, the union workers' rights thing feels like a 1920s talking point. The left stopped representing the factory worker and union a long time ago. Yeah, I have no problem with somebody joining a union. Unions should exist if somebody wants to. They should just be voluntary. I remember I was debating Jessica Burbank on a Break the Rules podcast on that, and she could never answer the question. All I said was, do you believe that a person should be able to opt out of unionization? Oh, well, unions do such a good job for people, and they're so great. Oh, okay, so you're saying that you can determine better for that person than they themselves what's good or bad for them. See, there's the sticking point. There's the problem. The Nerdwire. Did you see the CNN morons spurging out over a new poll showing independent voters feel Biden is more of a threat to democracy than Trump? Lol, they are so retarded. They always have been, and they always will be, unfortunately. It's a big problem. Minnie Bukowski, just wanted to say hi. Love your lives. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Thank you very, very much. Let's see. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you as well. And Javon Halen. Ever heard of a Viking metal band from Finland called Tyressus? They did a cover of Rah Rah Rasputin from Boney M. Great band. I've got a story about Boney M that I'll tell sometime that's really funny, actually. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's plausible. And no, I didn't hear about him. NB. Sticks, can you do a video or comment on debunking the Trump is racist narrative? Sent you a DM. I can do that, but nobody will listen to it that actually would be impacted by my rebuttal. It's self-evident. Doug Z, thoughts on Trump's plan for impoundment power? Yeah, you have to DM me on Twitter. I don't know his suggestion on that. Is that part of his Agenda 47? Carson 87. Leftoids keep telling me they want USA to be more like Europe. Didn't the USA break away from Europe, primarily the UK, for a good reason? Yeah, and I noticed that they don't want you to be more like Europe in abortion law. Look up the abortion laws in most Western European countries and tell the leftoids to get back to you. Let's get to our merch partners before we continue, shall we? We've got pumpkinfirecrafts.us, the home of keychains, belt chains, bookmarks, amulets, and of course, engraved spoons, all available now on pumpkinfirecrafts.us. More coming soon. We've got BiltongUSA.com, the home of tasty meat. Anton shipped me some extra elk, actually. It should be here like in the next couple of days, and I'm going to pound that down pretty quickly. Great with sour cream and onion. We've also got Sticks, Hex, and Hammer tumblers, mugs, and shirts. Use code STICKS for free shipping. Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get to the hats, of course, that I've worn before. In fact, actually, I put it in the bedroom. My apologies. Yes, we've got several varieties and colors of those available, the Styx Hexen hat line. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com, where you can get a seed survival bucket. I got one. I planted a lot of the seeds from it. They did really, really well overall. Only the Swiss chard, I think it was, or was that the Swiss chard from Heritage? Can't remember. That one had a few problems, but I think that was witchgrass related. We've also got the Styx Hexenhammer soap box available there, where you can get your clove, blueberry, and cedar scented soap. My favorite, mainly because it's Styx Hexenhammer soap. And gives a good lather. That's important. You know, I do a lot of gardening. You get your seeds, you put them out, and then you have to use the soap. So you can get a twofer. Jamandbean.com, JAMNBean.com, the home of delicious coffee and tea, endorsed by Clankdom. And the Costa Rica blend, again, nice and smooth, good and powerful, really wake you up, tastes good. You don't even need milk or sugar in it. You can take it black and it's still smooth. So that's the sign of a good coffee. And finally, MTPew, that's MTPEW.com, where we can get Styx Hexenhammer endorsed ammunition, 40 Smith & Wesson, 9mm, 223, 5.56, 45, and more. You can get it made from range brass or newly manufactured. I don't know exactly. I guess you take the brass and then you put the new primer and the powder in with the bullet and stuff. I don't think I'd trust myself to do that. I'd probably blow my hand off. So more power to you if you can figure out how to work it. Dillybod, what are your thoughts on objectivism? I have no problem with it, but I lean more towards classical liberalism, like in the Enlightenment era sense. So we're talking the 1790s. I think that's basically where I fall. Don't have a problem with government. I just want to shrink it till I can fit it in my pocket. I don't have a problem with the military, but I do have a problem with excessive and non-competitive military spending. You know, when you pay $5,000 for a toilet, that's not really necessary now, is it? You can always go to Home Depot and figure it out. Cool Roy. Democrats are as popular as Jeffrey Dahmer. Yes, and have similar sexual proclivities, it seems, sometimes. Sounder Siren 07 just joined. Your thoughts on Google's AI overlay that Quartering reported on last night? My time in Austria seems a violation of commerce laws. Yes, of course it is, but they're a mega corporation, so we'll see if they get held accountable for their illegal actions. Probably not in the immediate sense. Mayor Mike, the briefcase I sent you is not the best for carrying around your laptop. I will fix that right away and use my mayor superpowers to have a more suitable briefcase delivered to you today. That's actually not necessary. I really like it. Or I can just, I've got a small Invictus laptop as my backup. I can put that in there. Certainly that'd be fine. And it'd be the right dimensions. Then I can have a book in there and, to read on flights and stuff. Some paper and pens, because sometimes I get random ideas. And I should be one of those people that habitually carries around a notepad, the pen, actually. I know. You just write it on your phone. No, I don't even know how to write a note on my phone. I fucking hate phones. Sparky, Jimmy Dore predicted the attempted assassination of Fico months ago when Fico announced the investigation of the Hong Kong medical topic response, vaccines, and was against supplying weapons to Ukraine. Yeah, it's not a huge surprise. Mike the Wop had a random thought. Styx Scarecrow folks can purchase and install. Sometimes I think creatures are too smart, though, like the pigeons that will sit next to the fake owls meant to scare them away. Yeah, I don't think we need a Styx Hexenhammer Scarecrow. Although it would be funny. Let's see. Now we've got inflation to talk about. Biden's taking a victory lap over this. We probably shouldn't do so. Optically speaking, the Biden administration takes any very small comfort sort of economic news and then just blasts it all over the place. Oh, come on, man. We lowered inflation by 0.1. We got joblessness down by 0.1 and stuff like that. People aren't receptive to it because they go to the grocery store. They know the actual economic situation. Washington, AP. Led by lower food and auto prices. Bull fucking shit, by the way. They took coffee out of the core CPI for a reason. Inflation in the United States cooled slightly last month after 3 elevated readings, likely offering a tentative sigh of relief, I doubt it, for officials at the Fed, as well as President Joe Biden's re-election team. Consumer prices rose 0.3% from March to April, the Labor Department said. Wednesday, down slightly from 0.4 the previous month. Measured year over year, inflation ticked down from 3.5 to 3.4. That's not a tick down. That's just a reduction in the rise of inflation, but they're hoping that people are too fucking retarded to realize that. And a gauge of underlying inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy costs, reached its lowest level in 3 years. Yeah, if you don't need to buy food or gasoline, I guess you're in the clear now. If you don't need to eat and you don't need to travel, so you're like one of those monks that claims to be able to stare at the sun and get all of your food just by doing that. And you shun travel, you have a donkey to ride around on. I suppose it's perfectly fine. Of course, that donkey needs the occasional carrot. Those are going to cost you. It's the reason why I planted in a bunch of extra rows of those, actually. And it wasn't just because of the low initial germination. By the way, I would like to take a goddamn victory here. I told people, hey, my carrots aren't really coming up. People said, well, it can take up to 3 weeks to come up. Very well. That is apparently true. The other carrots that I planted less than a week ago are already germinating. So I don't know if it's the breed of carrot or the weather or whatever it was, but I was fundamentally correct. Yes, it is indeed possible to get carrots to sprout up out of the ground and germinate in less than a week. I successfully did that. With this one was the Chantenay kind. I don't even know what they fucking look like, but carrots are carrots. As far as I'm concerned, carrots are always good. Elisha Jones, most of the registered nurses I work with have gotten second jobs. I know, that's the problem. People are taking out second jobs to buy basic necessities, and that's if they're lucky. If they're unlucky, they got a credit card, and now they have more debt. Abe Mofo Lincoln, the algorithms seem to have changed now. I'm getting all kinds of Democrat and Biden shills in my feeds. I really started to notice a few days ago. Been happening to me for a very, very long time. I keep getting these goddamn crypto scammers over on Rumble. That's one thing that Rumble really should do is cleanse the site of that sort of bullshit. Because I literally don't have all day to mute users on a live stream. I've actually got to talk about meaningful news. Emperor Palpatine, random question. Since all the left's pathetic attempts to get Trump via the law are falling apart, do you think they might use a debate with Biden as an opportunity to get rid of Trump JFK style? That'd be a little obtuse. They might very well try that, although I think that their thing now is basically, okay, we can deal with this. All we have to do is obstruct Trump when he's elected. We're hoping that he doesn't get elected. We're going to pull out the ballot printers going burr. If that fails, we'll just deny him any funding for his plans. Tony the Greaser, sup cats and chicks, stay cool, stay confident. Exactly. Now we've got, we got to talk about that portal. They set up an art display, and basically what it is a TV. It's literally nothing else. It's a couple of TV screens with cameras mounted on them. And so you have like a portal, quote unquote. It's sort of like if I video chat someone in Thailand, of course, we're creating like a portal between the two of us in virtually real time. It's the same idea. This is an installation. They've got a big round portal and connects New York City with Dublin in Ireland. And the idea is that people can wave and they can take their selfies. And there was apparently a marriage proposal, and that's kind of cool, and stuff like that. But one mid OnlyFans model who shows her tits for a living decided, I guess, to get up in front of the portal and flash two of her tatas at the Irish audience. They didn't seem too impressed, by the way. They subsequently shut it down. Apparently, there were people grinding there and twerking and doing all sorts of other stuff. If you give somebody attention and they're messed up, they're going to take the attention. That's just the long and short of it. If you put up, it's like the he will not, whatever it was, he will not displace us or something like that. You remember that with Shia LaBeouf, and they had that flag. He will not, I can't even goddamn remember because it's so goddamn irrelevant. The only fun part of it was 4chan managing to find where the flag was placed based on literally contrails from commercial jets at one point. It's really funny and quite skilled. He will not divide us. I remember. Anyway, what happened when they installed it with the live cam? What happened? Brittany Venti and everyone else showed up and they were dancing around and chuckling and wearing MAGA hats and shit like that. And Shia LaBeouf went crazy and basically has gone into hiding since then due to the embarrassment. If you install something like this in a public place, you're going to get people that are using it for attention. So the OnlyFans model absolutely wants to flash her tits and hold up a sign saying, follow me here because it's money. I would go on there and I would have the Ouroboros flag and maybe a squad of clankers behind me. And it would be a fun time. Don't need to do anything inappropriate or anything like that. Just say fucking subscribe to me. Because why? Because it's a good idea, commercially speaking. Of course it's going to happen. Then you'll have the perverted exhibitionists. They'll wiggle their wang around in front of the portal just to shock everyone. It's New York City, so anything goes. You can smoke fentanyl right on the street there, and nobody apparently gives a fuck about it. X, if you ever get mods in chat, call them clunkers. I will never moderate my chat on any platform because I don't believe in such things. Brock Sampson, 71. If Trump is allowed to win, we're going to go through the same thing as his first term: impeachments, fake scandals, and obstruction from the Uniparty. Yes, and even despite that, he'll still get much more done than Biden could ever hope for, despite the constant wagons circling. Because when he gets something done, it's a bad idea. Search Rain Death. Wait, they exclude volatile food and energy costs, then claim a reduction in inflation? Yes, if you don't need to eat, you're doing fine. And if you don't need a car or housing. If you exclude travel and having a roof over your head and having food in your belly, if all you buy is napkins or something like that, because, you're just insane, yeah, you're doing all right. Don't worry about it. Economy is perfectly fine. Mina Bukowski, it's good marketing, though. Lol, simps will come. Yeah, people like seeing tits. And she didn't show anything else, so it stayed soft X rated. But, I'm surprised nobody fucked in front of the portal. You get a little bit famous from that. And what went viral? The installation of the portal or the fact that some mid chick was flashing her boobs? Which one went viral? It's obvious. Wilden, lost my childhood dog Buddy on Tuesday. Thank you for keeping me entertained during a little bit of a rough time. RIP to Buddy, by the way. Stay safe, and MAGA24, keep up the hard work, my man. My condolences for the loss of your childhood dog, by the way. He was a certified good pupper, I am sure. You ever seen the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven, and that one dog that's dead in heaven, he gets bored and comes back to Earth because everything's too easy or something? It's a weird show as a kid. Kind of a somber movie, if I remember correctly. Sort of like The Brave Little Toaster. The flower scene with the Brave Little Toaster? Yeah, tell me that didn't upset you slightly as a kid. And just saying, there is room for emotion in the world. Mostly positive emotions. If I get upset, I go out to the garden. I feel better instantaneously. All I have to do is smell the garlic plants. Mina Bukowski, lol, was seriously tame for what it could have been. Yeah, she could have ripped it all off and just started, fingering herself and pissing all over the portal or something. That would have gone even more viral, though. Ender 2. First super chat rant ever. Everyone keep your heads on a swivel. Side note, my profile pic is metaphorical. What do you think it means? First I'd have to... There's no way for me to go directly to your account, I believe. Oh, wait, just a sec. I figured it out. It's metaphorical. Strange taxidermy plus an AR-15, a cat with a military helmet on. I don't know what it means. And if I did, I'd probably play coy anyway. Magna Defender 98. Why can't the MSM shut the fuck up about COOF? The world is done with mandates, but the journalists can't take the L. It's been 4 years. Move on already. Agreed, yes. Sparky. Frank Church Committee knocked down CIA for several years. That committee wouldn't have existed without JFK's assassination. The CIA learned a lesson. Yeah, I think that there was definitely U.S. government involvement with JFK. I cannot imagine that Lyndon Baines Johnson wasn't in on it either. BW. Sorry, one more. I cried at the end when Charlie came back to say goodbye to the kid. Interesting. Oh, this is a funny story, as opposed to the brave little toaster at times. Mayor Adams under fire for suggesting migrants are excellent swimmers. So basically, the Mexicans, they all came over by swimming over the Rio Grande with 3 babies on their back. It's a gross stereotype, actually, that's not really applicable to the current illegal crisis, because most of the time, they just storm the border. There's nothing to stop them. And so they just walk across after cutting a fence or something like that. When they walk across the Rio Grande at this point, because in some spots it's 2 feet deep. Well, that's not that difficult. You're not going to get swept away by that unless there's been a rainstorm recently. Be a little bit like that scene from the first Lord of the Rings where Arwen manages to destroy the ring racer. Well, not destroy them, but wash them away with the magical elven tidal wave to save Frodo. Mayor Eric Adams, who does not deserve some of the ire he's getting, but he does deserve it for this, has come under fire for suggesting migrants could make good lifeguards because they are excellent swimmers during a news conference on Tuesday. If we had a migrant and asylum seeker plan, the states those jobs that we are in high demand, we could expedite, Adams said. How do we have a large body of people that are in our city and country that are excellent swimmers, and at the same time we need lifeguards? How many lifeguards, Mr. Adams, does New York City actually need? Okay, a couple hundred or something. Well, you've got hundreds of thousands of illegals in your city. So number one, you're completely off your rocker even bothering to make the suggestion. Number two, it is absolutely a stereotype. The idea of the Mexican dude in the sombrero bringing grandmama, in tow. She's on his back, and then the babies are on her back, and then the wife's on their back. And he's swimming bravely across rushing torrents of water just to get to the United States. And then he bends down and he praises Jesus, and an eagle lands on a cactus next to him and sheds a single tear as he thinks about making a better life for himself and his family. That has never been true. It's just as romanticized, and it comes from the same era, by the way, as the romanticism of Native American so-called culture. You watch Gunsmoke or something like that, and you get this neo-romanticist mythology of the redskin, the proud, brave warrior, stoic. He never smiles, by the way, even at his wife. I mean, and he respects the land. When he kills an animal, he venerates it for feeding his family and praises the great mother and bullshit like that. It was never true. They were scalping each other and taking and raping hostages and crazy shit like that. There was no peaceful tribe in the United States prior to European colonization. They did not exist unless they were totally insular. Well, then you don't have anyone to fight. You don't know anyone else really exists at that point. The Inuit, even they had their struggles. Jury's still out about that one expedition, what was it called? I can't remember, the one that got locked up in the ice. Jury is still out over whether the Inuit may not have killed and eaten these people. It didn't exist. It's romanticism. The same is true when you talk about Mamacita carrying her 3 babies across. It's a dreadful trek. It took her half an hour to cross the Rio Grande. By the time she got there, she collapsed, exhausted, but she saved her kids. This is the American dream. It's not real. That's not what's happening right now. People are coming in over Darien Pass in some cases, or through trains or whatever, and they line up the border and they achieve critical mass, and then they charge the border. Ta-da! You walked across. The idea of Mamacita's great struggle with the Rio Grande is not true. The fuck are you talking about, dude? Adams was answering a question about New York City's lifeguard shortage when he made the remarks. You didn't need to bring that up, Eric. I sympathize with him because he's quite clearly being persecuted by the Biden administration for coming out and blasting them for the migrant crisis. This is not the way to win fans and influence people. He is goddamn dumb. Wouldn't that be considered a racist remark? Damn, Mayor Adams, said one ex-user. Mayor Adams tells us he is racist without saying it, said another. Some migrants cross a river at the southern border to get into the United States. That's true, but not most of them. And parts of that river are wadable. You do not need to swim across parts of the Rio Grande. The once mighty river has been dammed up to all hell to the point where it's only a trickle towards the end. Emperor Soft Turtle, Taco Bell chips and cheese went from $129 to $279 here in New York. Yeah, it'll be at $666 soon. And it'll make your ass feel about the same way. Tree Climber, author D.A. Roberts, Operation Blood Eagle. Something different, highly recommended. Interesting. Let's see. Ender 2. Haha, I'm a white cat with a gun. It's funny because it's true. You are indeed a cat. Oh, there's more crypto spammers. I can keep up with them. It's just, what's the fucking point? King of Biltong. Good morning from Anton's Meat and Eat. Free shipping for your Biltong using code STICKS on www.biltongusa.com and www.antonusa.com. Check out the Carmian Functional Teas in Denton and Roanoke, Texas, or online. Clank. Yes, good tea, by the way, too. He's got all sorts of crazy shit available. When I get down there, I'm going to have to get some more meat. Want to make, maybe I'll cook Anton something. I'll take that almost chorizo-like sausage and cut it up and put it in a chili. I can make some good Cajun-style foods. Mike the Wop, pretty crazy. We used to have a safe way for immigration, and now they just tell people to risk their lives and their kids' lives and cross a river. Yeah, I mean, a kid could cross the Rio Grande at its end point because it's like 2 feet deep. The worst part is when they're coming up from South America, they have to go across the Darien Pass, which the Panamanian government's going to try to seal off. That's the real problem. Yeah, only 40% of the women get sexually assaulted on the way, including the minors. Only 25% of them get outright raped, to the point where they encourage you to get the birth control shot before you make the journey. Perfectly acceptable. Give us your huddled masses. They won't be mentally screwed up by the time that they get in the United States. Scientists find Eurasian jays can use mental time travel like humans. And by the way, this is the first animal species that they've conclusively, or more or less conclusively, shown likely has this ability. I suspect that more studies will be necessary, and they'll find that other species can too. When remembering events, humans have the ability of mental time travel, consciously reimagining past experiences and potentially recalling details that seemed unimportant at the time. Some researchers have suggested this episodic memory is unique to humans. In this study, Davies and colleagues ran a memory experiment to test for episodic-like memory, or episodic memory. They're giving it a qualifier for a reason. In Eurasian jays, birds that excel at remembering the location of stored food. In the experiment, the birds watched food get placed beneath one cup in a line of 4 identical cups, and were then rewarded for correctly selecting the baited cup. Over several trials, the birds were trained to identify the correct cup by remembering its position in line. Then, during testing, the jays were given an unexpected memory assessment. They watched food get placed beneath one of the cups, which now all had unique visual characteristics, but were then separated from the cups for 10 minutes while the cups were relocated and rearranged. Despite the changed position of the cups and added time delay, the birds still correctly identified the baited cup according to visual characteristics 70% of the time. The results suggest that even though visual differences between the cups were unimportant during training, the birds were able to notice those differences during testing and recall them later, similar to episodic memory in humans. The study indicates that episodic-like memory might aid jays in finding food stores, and the researchers suggest that future studies might investigate whether the birds can perform similar feats of memory in other non-food-related scenarios. Of course, they would probably have to be something related to the direct survival, so water, food, something like that. Mating opportunity, the fake bird, the horny bird under the cup or something like that. As long as there's a reward, then you would expect evolution to favor the development of such a capability. It's exciting, though. I have a feeling if Eurasian jays can do it, any of the corvids, magpies, rooks, crows, and ravens, they should be able to handle it. Apes should be able to handle it, maybe certain monkeys, whales, elephants, some of them, and cats potentially. Some of the more intelligent creatures on the planet should be fundamentally capable of the same thing. This in association with finding out that corvids and some other animals can actually play just for play's sake, and the idea of communication at large distances. Again, corvids can do that. So can termites, ants, bees, and a few others. It's actually exciting. What we're learning is that animals have a much higher cognition than we originally anticipated. 50 years ago, the idea is, well, they're dumb. Yeah, I can teach this dog or this cat or something a trick, but ultimately it's just reward for doing a specific predicated action, and there's no real mentality behind it. It turns out that that may not be true. Octopuses are extremely intelligent. They can do all sorts of cool shit. I'm beginning to believe that the elder ones might actually be real. The octopuses in the ocean are nothing more than the degenerated spawn of the elder ones that H.P. Lovecraft correctly predicted, I guess. Let's see. Pumpkin Fire Crafts. Good morning, Clankers. I have tumblers and drink bottles engraved for 2024 graduates and their parents. Adding more leather roses later today or tomorrow, as well as mugs for dads. 10% off code sticks. Excellent. As I slowly winnow down these bots that are trying to spam people with crypto offers. By the way, again, to the audience on all platforms, never take a link that's Ethereum giveaway, Bitcoin giveaway. So it's all bullshit. You're never going to find one that's legit. Ecstasy. Any advice for yard wars? No housing authority, not in city limits, but some neighbor called county to cut my wildflowers after trying to do it himself. You'd have to look into the zoning laws and any regulations on that. Pretty sure you're allowed to grow wildflowers on your property, though. I'm pretty sure that the neighbor does not have the right to trespass and cut your lawn. They can make a complaint. They can get the sheriff to show up and tell you need to do so under some statute, but they themselves cannot invade your property to cut it for you if you do not wish. I know that. Let's see. The Aviator 06. It seems to me Trump is already getting trapped by the deep state accepting CNN as a debate venue. Trump needs to get ahead of the deep state this time. Be smarter this time. He's not being trapped by them. He knows that he's walking into an ambush. He knows that. He's just confident he can do it anyway. I happen to agree. Mikuhuntu, Sar, do the needful. Redeem the Pajit coin. Cool Roy, Democrats take over everything. End of USA. Well, the Uniparty's already taken it over, and the Uniparty GOP is no different from the Dems. Country's still there. They don't want to go broke because they get a lot of money tied up in various investments. They just want to grind you down with authoritarianism. Wartooth 88, AOC fired back saying Adams people can't swim. Joker 80808, started watching Stargate SG 1 month ago. Way better than new Doctor Who gives a shit. Sparky, fun fact, the slur wetback was coined by legal Mexican immigrants to the U.S. and green card holders in the United States, United Farm Workers Union. Yes, I believe you are correct, actually. And then the final news story, Maryland parents, Maryland. It's who gives a fuck? It's Maryland. Nobody gives a shit about the state anyway, other than it's cozied up to DC. Maryland parents can't opt kids out of LGBTQ plus MAP IOU 10123 book curriculum, court rules. An issue was a set of LGBTQ inclusive storybooks, so about beating off and about chopping your boobs off. The Montgomery County Board of Education had approved for use in school curriculums in 2022. A divided federal appeals court on Wednesday rejected a bid by a group of Maryland parents to force a school district to allow them to opt their elementary school kids out of being assigned to read books that include LGBTQ characters. Now, step back here, speaking for myself, I don't really care if there's a character that's like gay or something like that in a book. If it gets to the point where the book is effectively sex ed and it's like, oh, well, you should cut your cock off. That's generally what people actually have a problem with. Having not had the benefit of reading these specific books, it seems that there's a pattern of sexualization. That is that it's not just, hey, this character happens to like other dudes. Maybe they kissed or something. It's more like, docking or fucking in the ass or something. It tends to be more often on the risque, the overtly sexualized side, as opposed to the innocuous romantic scenes that you would typically associate with kids' stuff is basically like a kiss or something like that. Or somebody clearly has a crush on another person, but it never comes to fruition or anything like that because it's a kid's show or whatever, a kid's book. But there's the insinuation or something. But it's not risque. There's no sexualization or anything like that because of the core audience that's going to read the fucking book, and it makes sense. But that's not been the case with a lot of the books that have been included in these curriculums. A 2-to-1 panel of the Richmond, Virginia-based Fourth Circuit of Appeals held that parents had not demonstrated how the Montgomery County Board of Education's book policy would burden anyone's rights to freely exercise religion. I would simply say, shouldn't parents be able to opt their children out of virtually anything within a school? Not just because of their religious rights or anything like that, but because of any objection they might have. This is, by the way, why we need much more homeschooling in the United States. At the very least, deprogram your kids when they get home and be involved with their coursework. Talk to them about what they're being schooled in, if they're in a public school or a private school. Make sure that you keep an eye on that and try to re-instruct them. Tell them, you may learn that 1 + 1 = 3 in this school because there are commies that help run the schools. I'll teach you the reality. For some things, it's perfectly fine. Math tends to be still fairly stable. If you're learning about chemistry or something like that. Biology, a little bit less because you're going to learn that there's 70,000 genders. History, though, and things like that are being diluted constantly. Hopefully, your kid likes to read because then they won't need the school to learn literacy because the schools aren't going to teach them. Trust me, back when I was at UVM, this is 2009, I think, or 10 at the time, we had to do peer editing as part of one anthropology class. It was about anthropological writing. So writing, in that sort of semi-formal style that scientific works tend to be written in. And we were supposed to peer edit. And of course, by then, I'm very advanced at writing. I'm very advanced at reading. I read constantly. I'm writing and editing shit on my own. I know this sort of stuff. In the peer editing process, I was surprised to learn that fully a third at least of those students, this is UVM, this is not a low-level university, it's public Ivy, were fundamentally fucking illiterate. They didn't know how to spell things. They didn't understand grammar. They didn't understand sentence structure. I was like, what the fuck am I reading? almost couldn't do the correcting because I'm like, there's too much to correct. I'm going to have to rewrite your whole paper. Meanwhile, some people had the audacity to fact check me, and the suggestions they were giving me were clearly wrong. It's like, okay, no. You're the one spelling the word wrong. I didn't spell the word wrong. It's just a word that you don't understand. I'm thinking, God damn, maybe I should go major in English. At least those students probably have a little bit higher literacy. And I started to lose hope in mankind. Thankfully, I didn't get blackpilled. That's bullshit. The parents, who are Muslims, Christians, and Jews, argued alongside the parental rights organization Kids First that by not providing an opt-out option, the board's policy infringed their religious rights under the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment. Let's do a little test here. Let's get a school system in a predominantly Muslim or Jewish area to have a bunch of books about how good bacon is. And when they sue, let's see what the court decision is. Now, that would be the litmus test. School system is retarded. Most of the teachers are too. Bara, they allowed RFK to debate? No, I don't believe he'll be at the debates. Shouldn't be anyway, because he's not viable. There's no possibility of him winning. He's down in the single digits. He doesn't qualify under even relatively relaxed restrictions that they have. Re24, how about no LGBT AARP representation? Cat cans. Boss, I think you might have muted Sith22 accidentally. I saw his comment disappear right next to a spammer. Whoops. My apologies. And I don't know how to unmute him, actually, unfortunately. Still a lot of crypto spam. There's a little bit less now. Yeah, anyway, later, I'm going to be spending most of the afternoon out in the garden. Now that we're running over 50, I ran out of news articles to talk about. I've got to maul out that witchgrass as much as possible. I cleared the peas and the cucumbers. I cleared the beets. I cleared the peppers. I cleared the tomatoes, the carrots. I cleared yesterday I cleared the pak choy because I want that for my stir-fry garden. I got to maul out all the shit around the potatoes and onions because there's that one plant that's growing there, and I'm not sure what it is, but it's like sprouting up everywhere, and it's unstoppable. So this fall, it's going to take extra effort to clear everything out because next year, I do not want to have to deal with so much witchgrass. A few pieces here and there are doable. It's tolerable, but this much is like, fuck myself. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff growing out there. Probably tomorrow I'll do another garden update, by the way. It's really, really puffed up. I did record one yesterday, but then I looked at all the witchgrass. I'm like, that's just fucking ugly. I want to remove as much as possible before I make the garden update, just to make it look nicer. And I did pull out hundreds and hundreds of pieces. The problem is if you're pulling out witchgrass and you leave even one root nodule in, it'll just regrow from the root nodule. Now, the next time clearing it out is easier because it's more shallow. It's not as strong as before when it had a big, long group of root knots on it. But yeah, I mean, it's fucking tedious. I'm just thankful some of the Nicotiana seeds decided to sprout. And yes, I am going to be going back to the Netherlands imminently in the following weeks. Yep, I'm going to eat bitterballen. I'm going to eat haring and all that other good stuff in life. It's going to be a fun time. Also got to trim up that grapevine in the backyard because I'm sure that the neighbors will complain about it at some time otherwise. Yeah, I get to go back and forth between North America and Europe. It's pretty fun. Anyways, I'm going to go offline now. I thank you to the, how many people tuned in? Yeah, nearly 4,000 people who tuned in live. I'll be back tomorrow for the Friday live news stream, of course. And then on the weekend, I don't have to live stream, which means that I get more time in the fucking garden. I've also restarted my editing. So I've been busy all day. I've edited several sections of another work, finished one yesterday. Did 2 rounds of gardening, did my videos, did the news crawl, set things up for tomorrow. I'm going to set them up completely after this live stream's over. And then tomorrow I do the live stream. And then the weekend, I get to relax a little bit. My idea of a day off is I only do my 5 videos and my editing and spend 5 or 6 hours working outside. That's a day off for me. Granite State Man, will you have a garden and chickens at your new Vermont place? I do want chickens in the future. Yeah. As far as the rental, I don't think that the landlord would like a bunch of chickens wandering around the property, though. I'll bide my time on the chickens. So yeah, that's about all.